Welcome back. Saturday, Miss Meghan Markle of Los Angeles married His Royal Highness Prince Henry of Wales in a ceremony held on the grounds of the 1,000-year-old Windsor Castle, thereby entering the oldest royal family in Europe. But there's little that's traditional about this union. Just 50 years ago, the marriage of a royal to someone who was biracial, divorced, and an actress would have brought the British monarchy to its knees. Honestly, though, if Meghan Markle's father's side of the family keeps up the antics, it might just do. Here to talk about everything from the traditional to the ratchet and what it all means, especially for women of color, is Sharia Jackson, senior editor at Essence. Sharia, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we're going to cover everything from the classy to the déclassé, but let's just start with some essential facts of the wedding. And you are a relationship expert and have all sorts of insights, so you will be able to guide us through all of this in a way that will keep us from being too just kind of down in the gutter. So thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
So just to run down a few essential facts, there were 600 guests in St. George's Chapel, which is the royal chapel at Windsor Castle. 2,640 other guests that were outside. I guess they were standing. There are two receptions planned, one at St. George's Hall in Windsor Castle for the 600 guests, and then a smaller reception at night at Frogmore House, which is also on the grounds of Windsor Castle for 200 friends and family. I guess that's friends and family, 200 people. Yeah. I mean, with Meghan Markle's family not necessarily showing up in large numbers, they got more. They have more people coming. In addition to that, her wedding band contained diamonds from Princess Diana's own private collection, which is sentimental. What strikes you about what's important in this wedding?
I mean, this is, to your point, unprecedented, right? So everything about their love story, and it is a beautiful love story. You see this couple, they're the most affectionate couple. So of course we know the things around her being a black woman, a biracial woman, her being a divorcee, her being older than him, her being an actress, her being American. But at the core of this, you really have a beautiful, inspiring love story, because even though they're gorgeous people, they both have had to overcome their own sets of adversity, right? You talk about Princess Diana, you talk about the trauma of Prince Harry having to walk behind his mother's casket. So to be able to see him grow up and heal in a healthy way and be able to start his life is so beautiful and inspiring. But their romance also highlights some of the progress we still have to make, right? Because we know when news first broke that she was his girlfriend at the time, how some of the racist headlines, right? And she's, you know, a fair complexion. She's grew up well in LA, and so quick they tried to two stereotypes we get as black women, which are you're from the ghetto, right? So almost straight out of Compton when she went to private schools her whole life, and her mother was, shout out to Doria, was the leader of her Girl Scouts troop. So this is a healthy family she had. And then the other stereotype we fight as black women, which is that we're hypersexual, right? And so all of a sudden it's like, oh, she's on Pornhub, when really she's a star of a hit USA show, Suits, and they take scenes from Suits and put them on a porn site. But the ways they try to really attack her character. And what I loved about that moment is we saw Prince Harry really step up early. I mean, they were a few months in. It's like, wait a minute, which was, again, unprecedented for to speak out and have a statement released to really to fight for her honor.
For people who haven't read your article, but they will.
Essence.com, check it
out. The first step is that she represents a salute to our mothers.
Yes, I love the first time you actually ever saw Prince Harry and Meghan together was at the Invictus game in Canada, and who was right there next to them, this big moment for them as a couple, was her mother, Doria. And her mother is clearly a black woman. Her mother has locks. And even on Meghan's now defunct blog, she talked about how special and how much her mother was an inspiration. And so what I shared in that article was how reflective Meghan is as she enters a global stage. A lot of the things we attribute to her are realities that are very common to the average black woman. The fact how influential our mothers are, and even as adult women. Meghan's in her 30s and still leans so heavily on her mother. And also, Doria herself is such a quintessential black woman, someone who prioritized education. So even though Meghan knew at an early age that she wanted to go into acting, it still was education prioritized in her house. And her mother, Doria, later in life got her master's in social work and now is a yoga teacher. So that ingenuity is definitely something that has sustained us as black women.
You said lead on your squad.
Lean on your squad. I mean, in my book, Boss Bride, The Powerful Woman's Playbook for Love and Success, I talk about the importance of having your love and success squad. Yes, coming out. And so, I mean, literally, I mean, Meghan is such an example, right? Because when we watched that first interview with them, and it's like, well, how did you meet Prince Harry, the most eligible bachelor? And she's like, oh, through mutual friends. You talk about someone who has been intentional to cultivate a circle around her, to have someone she knows who's like, you know what, let me introduce you to my friend.
Right.
He's kind of a Prince girl. I'm like, I need to, and I love my friends, but I'm like, I haven't been introduced to a Prince yet.
Me either.
But we know for Black women to really thrive and hit those next level of success in our lives, how much our circles matter to us. I mean, even for Essence, the movie Girls Trip was all about celebrating that sisterhood that sustains us.
I gotta level up. A Saudi prince or a British prince would just
listen.
fine. Fight stereotypes.
Yes.
Your third point.
And I talked about that a little bit earlier, but we definitely saw those stereotypes that we as Black women bump up against, how they tried to clearly early on paint Meghan with a brush that we as Black women get, that we are loud, that we are ghetto, that we aren't educated, right? And so that's one of the things that I'm so happy that she is on the global stage, because she disrupts narratives and represents someone who has a dual degree from Northwestern. Black women in America are the country's most educated demographic.
Leverage our skills was the fourth one.
Yes, and that's what I was talking about, sort of how she really is a global woman. And so it's so fascinating, even though obviously I don't think she knew 5 years she'd be marrying into the monarchy, but how all of her experiences, how she really played full out. And so during her college years, she served in the Department of State in Argentina.
That's
and
right.
Really has a global perspective, which I think really lends itself with the work she's done in the UN.
And the last one was write your own rules.
Write your own rules. Absolutely. One of the things I love about her story and what it signals to women around the world is that one bad relationship or one expired relationship or one relationship that did not work out does not end your love story. I love the fact that she's a divorcee. That is a huge message to show I still can be the prize. I can leave a relationship that has expired and still step into my own romance.
Why does this matter? Why is this important? And I think one of the things we've done is establish why it's important. So thank you for taking the time to do that. We will be right back to talk about all of the ratchetness in our specialty segment. You're watching The Last Sip. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our royalty segment on the royal wedding. Y'all like my tiara? It's very secure. It has to be for all the tea we're about to spill. A royal family is still a family. Still here with me to spill all of the royalty is Sharia Jackson of Essence. But I think, Sharia, this calls much more for champagne than it does for tea.
This is
what do you think?
opportunity, the perfect occasion for some bubbly.
I mean, we really need some bubblies.
Because this family, I love it all.
I mean, it's very ratchet. Now, you and I are both from Atlanta. We just learned that. So we can talk about this in a way that
we thought we were from the capital of ratchet, and now we know Windsor Castle is the capital of ratchet.
I mean, first of all, her father, like, selling pictures to...
But I mean, like, why? Him
why?
Because we all have a faux candid picture. You know, you're not really riding the bike. Then we all pretend to have a friend take a photo. What's the difference?
He's marrying into one of the wealthiest families in the world.
Well, obviously they didn't cut him enough checks.
Why didn't he go to them and be like, if he was smart, and be like, you know what? Hey, daughter, this TMZ situation, they're offering to cut me a check. Can y'all help me out with a new down payment?
You know, he was just a part of a bigger scheme for this evil sister Samantha, because she came out and said it was her idea. She set him up because she did not want her dad at the wedding, and she is the culprit here.
As a person who works in media, as a person who knows about PR, particularly on the entertainment side, you can fix a lot of things that you know about in advance.
Well, you mean for the sister or Meghan?
No, for Meghan. So I don't understand why she didn't go to the palace press secretary and be like, my family is ratchet. They're going to do some whack-ass stuff. She knows her kinfolks. There's a reason why she didn't invite them.
But I would hope that the love you have for family would supersede some of these egotistical plays for attention, but obviously not.
Sadly, this is all the time that we have on this week's edition of The Last Sip, but we're going to stay sipping our champagne, but we will have a special edition of The Last Sip in honor of Memorial Day, so be sure to tune into that, and we thank you for joining us again. Thank you, Sharia.
Thank you.
And again, to the royal couple.
To the royal. She won.